More on the Japanese economy. We go straight to New York City. Charles Ortel is there, Managing Director of Newport Value Partners. Good to see you, Charles. So here are some of the numbers. Let me just read these off to you. The unemployment rate, 3.3 from 3.4, so that was a little bit of an improvement. Inflation basically stalling, basically flat. They're expecting down 0.02%. Let me start with reaction to that data first.
Well, you see, I think when you look at Japan, it's much wiser rather than going month to month, data point to data point, to consider the structural issues that plague this economy. It's a cautionary tale for the entire world. It has too much debt. It has a population bubble that's all mixed up the wrong way. And its disclosure practices are just subpar. So you don't really have comfort as an investor that it makes sense to invest to try to reach consumers who are tapped out in the internal market. And it certainly doesn't make sense to assume that the Japanese export platform is going to be the best platform, the most competitive platform to serve the world market.
All right, we got some bad news for you as well. You can add this to your book of things to not like about Japan. Household spending, 0.2%. I hope I'm getting that right. They were expecting 1.3% to the upside, so that is a significant knock on consumer spending in Japan. What's going on here?
Well, you know, there's a very simple way to look at this. It's the way we look at the economies of the world. The wage earners inside Japan on world scale are among the most highly compensated. Forget productivity issues, just absolute nominal pay around the world. So if you're looking to harness technology, to put more robots in, use software, Japan is an obvious place to think about replacing a private sector worker some way or another, whether by robots or technology. And it's going to be fertile ground for people to try to do that, whether by not hiring enough or by outright, getting rid of people in Japan. So it's a very precarious place at this moment. And unfortunately, the policymakers across their political spectrum ever since 1989 have failed to learn from their mistakes. It's a desperate, desperate situation in my view.
Abe is trying to rebuild the economy in Japan. And look, stocks are a lot higher since he took some of these actions. The economy seems to be better, minus today's numbers. What's Abe doing right and what's Abe doing wrong?
Well, I think, he's at the very end of a failed experiment. I mean, to attack this problem, you have to be able to think about the box and do things that are very difficult to do in a society like Japan, which doesn't embrace creative destruction. You think about Japan, the level of total debt on that economy, as I understand it, the public sector debt is more than twice GDP. That's crazy high. You've got interest rates that have been on the floor for a very long time. And you talk about stock prices, I believe December 30th, 1989, the Nikkei was approaching 40,000. Where is it now? I think it's less than half that.
This whole thing, all this stuff that's happening around the world, from the New York, I know the markets went up today, but look what's happening in China. People are trying to draw a correlation on what impact outside markets might have on inside Japan. Is that a comparison to make?
Well, again, there's some great UN data on all the countries in the world that goes back, I think, to 1972. It's very in-depth and consistent, which is useful. And what that data shows you is that the bulk of Japan's investment was back in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. A lot of that investment in heavy industry still hangs over the whole economy. So if you want to transition to a 21st century economy, you've got these legacy structural costs, not to mention union problems and other problems, a civil government bureaucracy that's very difficult to deal with, a protected farming sector. So as you're thinking as an international investor, where do you want to put serious money to profit from trends in the 21st century with all these legacy issues? I wonder whether, God incarnate can fix them, let alone a politician.
All right, look, I only have 45 seconds left, but we need your advice, Charles. The world is a crazy place. Do I want to buy or sell Japan? And if I want to sell, where else do I want to put my money?
Well, to me, I think I'm a gold bug, but I think that precious metals are such an obvious place. If you contrast an investment with precious metals, at least if you have a good vendor to you, you know you're actually getting gold or platinum and it's not zinc. If you increase your allocation to precious metals, you have a safe place to store it. You don't have to trouble yourself reading all these financial reports, guessing to see whether they're accurate or not. And so I see precious metals, both gold and actually platinum, as being very undervalued relative to historical trends and to where they could be if you posit that eventually we're going to have major league crash.
Charles, you are always welcome to buy gold and store it in my closet. It's good to see you live from New York. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me on.